FBG number 1. FBG number 2.
FBG number 3, man. You feel me, man? Man, you already know, man. It's your boy, man. I ain't even got to talk to you.
Oh, you petty.
So hold on, you say Doug, like what's the name of the group?
Bullets was hitting him, he was singing like Mariah. Yeah, you heard about Show They cooking just like Chronicles. What's your name? You ain't making no noise, ain't never heard of ya.
The Flyboy Gang, FBG, has always been considered the underdogs of the Chicago drill scene, and for over a decade they were consistently delivering drill classics. In the world of drill music, the Flyboy Gang are seen as superheroes. Drill has grown into one of the biggest genres in hip-hop, right up there with trap, and it's safe to say that without FBG, drill wouldn't be as huge as it is today. What started as a small group of high school friends unexpectedly became one of the most iconic and influential collectives in Chicago, earning them the title of kings of the city's drill movement.
I mean, Fly Boy Gang, you feel me, man? It's the movement.
The Flyboy Gang was founded around 2011 by Romello Smart, better known as FBG Young. Young's story begins in 2005 when he and his family moved to 508 East 63rd Street.
What part?
The low end.
Okay.
The low end of Chicago.
And then around 11 years old, you moved to 63rd?
Yeah, around that time.
He grew up with a group of sisters and 3 brothers, including FBG Els and FBG Cash. Some of his siblings had different fathers, but Young's father, a man known as Manny, was the key figure in his life. Manny was allegedly a hustler back in the day, and when he started dating Young's mother, Sonia, in the early 90s, he treated all of her children as if they were his own. Thanks to Manny's hustling, Young's family didn't struggle the way many others did in the city. Manny was a provider, making sure his kids had what they needed. Young and his siblings didn't go without, and according to some, Manny and Sonia even spoiled them. Young, especially, was the life of the party at family events, always dancing and entertaining. His interest in music started at an early age. Despite their fun-loving nature, Manny and Sonia were strict parents. They set curfews and restricted where the kids could go, so Young and his siblings spent a lot of time at home together. Holidays, especially Christmas, were a big deal in the Smart household, with the kids always receiving nice gifts and never having to worry about school clothes. They went to school dressed sharp and clean every day. Young actually enjoyed school and at one point was close friends with future O Block member Prince Dre.
Eventually got into war with, like, for example, FBG Young or something. Yeah. So was you like best friends? I don't know about best friends, but good friends or something?
Yeah, we was close. We went to grammar school with each other.
Before things escalated between rival groups, most of the kids in the Woodlawn neighborhood got along well. During this time, Young met another local kid, DJ, who would later become known as FBG Dutchie. Dutchie lived just a block away on 63rd Street, and the two quickly became close friends.
So when you moved to 63rd, did anything change?
Oh, no. Nothing but school and friend-wise.
Okay. And Dutchie, that was the first person you met?
Yeah.
Dallin Stevens, aka Dutchie, grew up in a strict household with his mother and older sister. His mom didn't play around when it came to discipline, and Dutchie was known to run from her when things got heated. Despite the strict upbringing, Dutchie was no stranger to trouble. He started smoking weed and getting into fights at an early age. Kids in the neighborhood looked up to him, but he was also the one getting his friends into sticky situations growing up.
Stealing car, beating clubs.
Damn, so y'all weren't stealing bikes, y'all was stealing cars.
I mean, then they don't say third around that time.
Bikes too.
Then there's Carlton Weekly, better known as FBG Duck, another key figure in the Flyboy Gang's rise. Duck grew up on the low end of Chicago in the Ida B. Wells projects.
What part of Chicago did you grow up in?
I'm born in Ida B. Wells. You know, I was born in Ida B. Wells, 39th Street.
His mother, Lashina Weekly, was a single mom who raised 10 kids, including Duck. Her oldest son, Jermaine Robinson, better known as Brick, started getting into trouble at a young age. Lashina had Brick when she was just 15, and their relationship was more like brother and sister than mother and son. Duck, like Brick, grew up surrounded by family members who were gangster disciples, and he was determined to follow in their footsteps. He started gangbanging before he even got serious about music. While living on St. Lawrence, Duck became friends with Dutchie, Young, and other familiar names from the neighborhood.
So then, around 13, you met FBG Duck?
Yeah, probably 12, 13, yeah.
Duck was getting in trouble at an early age. He was arrested several times as a teenager, but never spent any real time in jail.
You mentioned in some of your other interviews that you were a problem child.
Everybody know that. I was bad as hell. Like, I was one of the weeklies. I was known for being a bad kid. You feel me? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I wasn't proud of being a bad kid.
But music was always a part of Duck's life. What many people don't know is that Duck was a talented singer and loved to perform. His name Duck actually comes from the '91 movie The Five Heartbeats. His mom was a big fan of the film and decided to give him the nickname based on the character played by actor Robert Townsend. What a lot of people don't realize is that FBG wasn't even the original name of the crew. Back in the day, when FBG Dutchie and FBG Young first started the group, they actually called themselves GMB. But when they found out that a different crew at their school already had the name locked down in 8th grade, they had to switch it up. That's when they came up with what we know today as Flyboy Gang, or FBG for short. Initially, the focus was all about pushing their music. FBG Duck was one of the original members too, right from the jump. It's hard to say if the three of them knew back then just how massive the movement they started would become, but they were definitely onto something. The crew was creative from the beginning. To separate themselves from just being another group, they did something different. Each member had a number attached to their name. As FBG grew, that numbering system became a staple, with more trappers turned rappers joining the movement and getting their own number. While the exact order of who got which number can be a bit sketchy, some online sources give insight. Still, if you want to confirm who has what number, you'd have to go to the founders themselves. FBG was quickly on the rise, building a strong reputation on the streets and in the drill scene. As the crew got bigger, more members and affiliates joined the movement. Some of the key figures were Dutchie, Young, Duck, Duck's older brother FBG Brick, Young's older brother FBG Cash, Wooski, Butta, NKI, King Yella, FBG Creed, Lil J, and Billionaire Black. Around this time, Chicago drill music was really starting to take shape, with their rivals like Chief Keef, Lil Durk, and Lil Reese gaining traction. For FBG, the music was more than just a way out. It was also a tool to send shots at their ops, and they weren't about to let anyone disrespect them without clapping back. FBG Duck came out swinging with the anthem Wild Out.
Shout out to Young Capo, I know you know he my dude. They claim it's a drill to one of them be on the news.
While Young and Dutchie, who back then went by the rap names DJ and Mello, dropped the hard-hitting track Hitter Music. These songs were the foundation of what would become one of the only groups able to rival the popularity of their ops on the mic. Chief Keef was the first to blow up, followed by Durk and Reese, but FBG had their own secret weapon, Big Clout, FBG Duck. Duck's presence on the streets, along with his talent and charisma, helped elevate FBG to new heights. He wasn't just rapping, he had the respect and power that took FBG from a local crew to a well-known brand in the drill scene. Duck was everywhere, performing at concerts, showing up at schools, and making a name for himself. Around this time, FBG Young's father, Manny, decided to launch Clout Boys Entertainment with the goal of signing FBG artists and taking their careers to the next level. In 2013, FBG Young and Dutchie dropped the music video for their street banger, which featured appearances from the whole crew, including Wooski, KI, and Duck, all rocking Clout Boys Entertainment merch.
My young they gon' murder. They cooking just like Chronicles.
In a Zach TV interview, Dutchie was given credit for coming up with the name Clout Boys Entertainment while he was locked up. Once he got out, he made sure the name was stamped and official for the whole gang. At this point, it seemed like FBG was a well-oiled machine, dominating both the streets and the airwaves. But the streets don't love anyone for long, and FBG learned that the hard way. The rise was real, but the fall came just as fast. The group's first real signs of trouble were exposed by popular urban news YouTuber Trench's News. According to him, he was there during FBG's early days and even helped them take things to the next level, getting their songs on the radio, booking them shows, and putting them in the right circles. But according to Trench's News, there were red flags from the jump. One of the first big issues he noticed happened at a show in Indiana that he helped set up for them. Allegedly, the promoter paid Manny $7,500 to bring out Duck, Billionaire Black, Creed, and Lil J.
I got them a show in Indiana, man. I got them a show. The promoter, paid Manny $7,500 to bring Duck, Billionaire, Creed.
The crew was supposed to keep everything they made at the door, but this is where things got messy. Trench's News claims that Manny put someone he trusted at the door, and that person took all the money, splitting it with Manny behind the group's back.
He let them hire the dough. He let us hire the dough. So that means all the money we get off the dough, we get to keep. Well, Manny put Cash Out Baby Mama on that dough, and that took everything. Shout out to her though. She a real for Duck could pull a truck, it could up. She took all the money and the weed that was made.
It gets worse. Trench's News said that Manny only told Duck and the others that they were getting paid $75 for the show. Lil J wasn't even going to perform because of this, but it was K.I. and Trench's News who convinced him to come through.
You know what he tried to get Duck for that performance? He tried to get Duck $75. Did you know what he tried to get Lil J? He tried to get Lil J $75. Lil J tore that up. That's why Lil J never was with that. Cause he tried to play him that day. I had to bag Lil J. Me and K.I. had to go with me and Jakara. She was in the car with me, with the pose and everything. We had to go and get Lil J that night. This ain't no lie. Y'all can ask Lil J when he get out.
Meanwhile, some of the other crew members who performed, like Creed, were allegedly only offered $25 while Manny was pocketing most of the money for himself and his kids. This incident, according to Trench's News, was one of the first major cracks in the foundation of FBG, and it only got worse from there. It seems like things were way more complicated behind the scenes for FBG than people realized. As FBG Duck's fame started blowing up, jealousy and envy started creeping into the group. Maybe that's something they could have worked through over time, but once their ops started getting the upper hand in the beef, everything started spiraling, leading to the downfall of the one person holding it all together, FBG Duck. It all really started with a tragic event that shook the crew to its core. Even though Tuka wasn't an official FBG member, he was extremely close to them, especially Duck. When Tuka was on January 12, 2011, while waiting at a bus stop at 63rd and St. Lawrence in the Woodlawn neighborhood, it set FBG on a path of self-destruction.
Tuka gets at 15 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Now, were you guys close?
Yeah, real close. Everyday friends.
When you found out about that, how did that affect you?
It f***ed me up.
I didn't realize he was just 15 years old. He seemed like a much older figure, but to find out that he was only 15 was kind of heartbreaking.
A lot of people don't know that though, you feel me? But that's why I go so crazy when mention his name, you feel me?
Founding member FBG Young later recalled how that was the first major loss that hit the group hard, leaving a permanent scar. After that, the beef only got worse and it kept taking lives, chipping away at FBG little by little. In April 2014, the woman many called a female assassin followed Tuka to the grave when she was caught lacking in. There's still a lot of debate over how deep she was in the streets, but her name carried weight and even made national headlines for her reputation as a shooter and killer.
The estimates of how much damage she did varied depending on who you talked to. A high-level source I talked to said that a girl matching her description was a suspect in 3 to 5 shootings. One of those was a
Then, after O-Block member Davon Bennett, better known as King Von, was killed, police documents surfaced naming him as the shooter responsible for her death. It was a continuous stream of bad news hitting FBG one after another like dominoes falling. As the violence escalated, FBG Duck, the one who made the group popular on a large scale, began distancing himself from the crew. At the time, no one knew why, but later it became clear. Billionaire Black, another prominent member, also started pulling away from the group. To the public, though, FBG still seemed strong, going toe-to-toe with O-Block, with Big Clout FBG Duck leading the charge. But behind the scenes, the losses were stacking up, and they were getting closer to home. In July 2017, Duck suffered another devastating blow when his older brother Jermaine Robinson, known as FBG Brick, was in a double homicide on the 6300 block of South St. Lawrence. Losing his brother was hard enough, but FBG Duck's mother, Lashina Weekly, who had already lost one son to the streets, had to face the unbearable pain of losing another. It was clear that FBG was under attack from all sides, both from the streets and within their own ranks. Internal drama was brewing, and one of the main issues came from Lil J. He was pulling some shady moves, getting a big head and starting to act like he was above the crew. Lil J J earned the nickname King Clout because he was milking the Clout Boys brand for everything it was worth. But things took a darker turn when it came out that Lil J was even stealing from Duck himself. Instead of taking him out, Duck spared himself, but not before giving the green light for the crew to put hands on Lil J as punishment. After that, Lil J's place in the group was pretty much done for, especially when he went to prison. When he eventually got out, he was on his own wave, pushing his own movement and cutting ties with FBG completely.
Where do y'all stand at now? What's going on with FBG?
Shit, I don't know, man. I'm just living my best life, living how I've been living. Solo dolo my team.
The numbers in FBG were dropping, and with it, so was the crew's influence. Around this time, FBG Duck began to notice something shady going on with his manager, Manny. It turned out that Manny had been backdooring Duck, trapping him in a bogus contract. According to Mama Duck, when Duck found out, he wanted out of the deal, but Manny refused to let him go. Trench's news backed up the story, saying Manny had been holding Duck hostage with the contract and pocketing all the money while Duck saw little to nothing, despite being the one who took FBG mainstream. Duck's frustrations with Manny allegedly inspired his track Soul Burn, which touched on the betrayal and dirty dealings behind the scenes.
That's why I stay with my fam, cause I ain't got no guys. My soul burn.
But it wasn't just about money. Mama Duck revealed that Duck had been in talks with Sony to sign a record deal. He thought everything was legit, but what he didn't know was that Manny had told the label Duck was already signed to his Clout Boys Entertainment under a shady contract. This meant that any money coming from the label had to go through Manny first. To make matters worse, Mama Duck claimed that Manny was using Clout Boys Entertainment as a front for his drug business. She wasn't playing around when she aired out these allegations. Despite all of this drama, FBG still had a fighting chance as long as Duck was around. He was the glue holding everything together, both on the streets and in the music. But the final blow to FBG came on August 4th, 2020, when FBG Duck was gunned down in broad daylight. He was shot in Chicago's Gold Coast area, a luxury shopping district downtown.
I knew for sure this was gunshots.
CPD would later determine someone fired those shots at Chicago rapper FBG Duck.
The story took an even darker turn when police arrested and charged 5 O-Block members in connection with FBG Duck's. Those 5 were Charles Liggins, also known as C. Murda, Kenneth Robertson, aka Kenny or Kenny Mac, to Carlos Offord, also called Los, Christopher Thomas, known as C-Thang, and Marcus Smart, aka Mua. The cops didn't stop there. Reports came out that King Von was actually the mastermind behind the whole thing. Allegedly, he put a $100,000 bounty on Duck's head, and once Duck was gone, it felt like FBG was gone with him. Duck was the one keeping the gang's name alive and taking him to the next level. And if things weren't bad enough, tragedy hit again when FBG Cash, FBG Young's brother, was on June 10, 2022. Cash was in a car with a girl at about 5:30 in the morning on the 1600 block of West 81st Street. That's when a black 4-door sedan rolled up and an op jumped out, spraying the car with bullets. Cash didn't make it. For Young, losing Cash was a pain he couldn't hide. He had already lost so many friends to the streets, but when it's your own brother, that's a scar that never heals. By that point, most of the main faces of FBG were either dead, locked up, or had fallen back to focus on their own lives. Billionaire Black, King Yella, and Wooski are still around, but they're doing their own thing. Wooski in particular was never the same after surviving a headshot. Rumors started flying that he was done with music, and honestly no one could blame him. When most of the people you came up with are either gone or dead, it's hard to keep going. Even now, Mama Duck is still fighting to keep her son's legacy alive. She tried to release an album of Duck's unreleased music called He's Back, but Manny, Duck's former manager, allegedly had it taken down. He claims Duck is still under contract with him, so the music belongs to him. According to Mama Duck, Manny even owes Duck $800,000. It's a heartbreaking situation seeing how much greed and betrayal have played into the downfall of FBG. FBG Dutchie and FBG Young are still working hard to keep FBG's name alive, continuing to drop music and carry the legacy of the Flyboy gang. But for a lot of people, the FBG story feels like it's over. The streets have given them an L, and they're no longer talked about as the powerful force they once were. What was once a movement that dominated Chicago's drill scene now feels like a memory. It's tragic when you think about how it all started, with a group of kids who were just trying to make something out of nothing. They created a crew that became legendary, but in the end, the same streets that raised them also destroyed them. The violence, jealousy, betrayal, and loss slowly chipped away at what made FBG great until it all fell apart.